WrestleMania 39 is this Saturday and Sunday from Los Angeles, California, SoFi Stadium. Welcome to my WrestleMania 39 predictions video. I'm going to give you my predictions for all the matches for WrestleMania 39, give you my thoughts on the direction they're going in, and talk about the show. Now, as of right now, I'm recording this on March 28th. I don't think they're going to be adding any more matches to the show. They could last minute, but I don't think they will. And because of that, I think it's time to do the preview. However, we do not know exactly which matches will be on night one and which matches will be on night two. Some of the matches and the nights they're going to be on have been announced, and some probably will be during the week. But what I'm going to do is just preview all the matches and give you my thoughts and give you my predictions. And please feel free to leave your predictions down below, not just on the results, but on anything that you find interesting about the show. Now, let's go ahead and discuss what we know for sure is going to be the opening match of WrestleMania 39 Night 1. That's John Cena versus Austin Theory. This match was supposed to be at SummerSlam last year, but it got postponed. Some say it was because of Cena's schedule. Others say it's because of Vince McMahon and the scandal that came out, last summer. They wanted to, basically Cena wanted to be away from the company for a little while things cooled down. But it's for the United States Championship. Now, a lot of folks, I think, are assuming that because Cena's opening WrestleMania that he's going to end up winning. And the only way I could see John Cena winning this match is if he drops it to Theory either the night after WrestleMania on Raw or night 2 on Sunday. They could add the match, book it during night 1 and do a rematch in night 2 and have Theory beat him then. I have not heard that Cena will be around for more than just this show. But if he is around for more than just this show, maybe he will be U.S. champion for a brief time period. I just don't think he will be. So logically, Austin Theory wins, although I could see Cena winning and them doing the rematch the very next night to kind of, be a little bit of a surprise, a bonus match, the bonus rematch, and Theory wins that one. I know some of y'all don't see that happening. I think it's possible. Then we have Seth freaking Rollins versus Logan Paul. This one's interesting because Logan Paul is absolutely skilled in the ring for a newcomer and for a celebrity. I know a lot of people don't like him. I understand why. I get it. He's had a controversial past, but the dude is talented in the ring and he's getting paid big money by WWE. I think it's going to depend on whether or not Seth Rollins will end up being Cody's challenger if Cody wins the title. We'll talk about that later. But if Seth Rollins is going to, he could challenge Roman Reigns too. Seth Rollins challenging for the title after WrestleMania, because they could do that, or if they really want to put the rocket on Logan Paul. If Logan Paul wins this match, he's going to have to at least be around for a few weeks because they're not going to have him go over one of the top talent in the company without it having a meaning. Not to mention that Seth has lost the last couple WrestleManias, so I think Seth Rollins is probably going to win this match, but I am expecting it to be good. So I'm going to lean in the direction of Seth Rollins on this one. But the thing about Logan Paul is he can lose and still come back and have an impact. Then we have the 6-woman tag team match. Damage Control, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky against Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch. I think Damage Control is going to win this one. I think it'll lead to a match the night after WrestleMania on Raw where Lita and Becky will drop the tag team titles to Damage Control once again. I just don't know about Lita staying around. See, this show, again, has a lot of part-timers, and I know a lot of fans don't like that. Brock's a part-timer. Lita and Trish are part-timers. Logan Paul's a part-timer. Cena. A lot of these matches have guys who are not on the full-time roster. And again, I can understand why it bothers people, but WrestleMania is the one show where you can kind of get away with that. So, with that being said, I could see the babyfaces winning, but it seems more realistic that the heels win, probably with shenanigans, to continue the feud because Lita and Becky are the women's tag team champions right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Damage Control for the win. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Okay. So the Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley match is not happening anymore. And I was really hoping that they would have done a switch where they would have had Brock and Lashley at WrestleMania, finally blow off their feud. but they're not. They're sticking with the Omos plan. Omos, not very good in the ring. We know this. I don't have to tell you all this. He just isn't that great of a worker. Brock Lesnar, of course, is a great worker, but he's also a part-timer. So I think the idea for this match, and I've always said this, is that Brock's facing somebody taller than him. And I think if Brock hits the F5, like, this match is a photo op match. I don't see this match going past like 6 minutes. At the most. At the most. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4 minutes. You know, it's not going to be long. It's not going to be long. Brock is in there. You know, he knows his role. He's not one of those guys that's going to go out there and work 30 minutes. That's just not what he does, even though he definitely can. He has before. But Omos, I mean, logic would tell you, because Brock is a part-time guy, and there's even a report that Brock was saying goodbye to people recently, so this could be his last match under his current deal. It could be, and if that's the case, then logic would tell you have the full-time guy, Omos, pin Brock Lesnar and get the win, but a lot of folks don't like that because Omos kind of sucks. He kind of sucks, man, so I could see Brock winning with the F5 and getting that photo op of Brock F5ing this big monster, or they could just do the F5 and have Omos kick out and then Omos beats him. I just know that Omos beating Brock will leave a bad taste in people's mouth. But Brock, I mean, the guy's not the top guy right now. He's there to put people over, and he's done that effectively for the past few, you know. He put over Roman. Would like it or not, he did. A couple times. He put over Bobby Lashley, kind of, sort of. That feud still hasn't really been resolved because it was a DQ finish at the last show. So I would have loved it more if it was Brock and Bobby won. But that's not what's happening here. So this one's hard to call, but I'm gonna go with Omos here. Although what I wish happens is that Brock beats him and then Omos goes and gets training. The problem is that the dude's too tall for him to have matches with most of the roster because his height is a detriment. Even if he learns to be a better worker, his height makes things very awkward. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's nobody as tall as him, so his matches have to be kind of worked around that height. Bianca Belair versus Asuka. This could be the match of the night. I think a lot of people forget how good of a worker these two ladies are. They are phenomenal, phenomenal wrestlers, and they are going to be, interestingly enough, both women's title matches are going to be on night one. So that is an interesting call. I can see that Bianca, okay, it's tough because, again, these are two good workers. If you go back to Mania 37, right, in Tampa, Asuka and Rhea Ripley had a phenomenal match that I thought was very underrated. I love that match. And, of course, Bianca and Sasha Banks had a phenomenal match. Just great workers all around. I think Bianca's going to win this match. I think she'll retain, but to be honest with you, I want Asuka to win because it's more interesting if Asuka wins. In fact, I'm going to pick Asuka to win, but not confidently. I'm not confident in that pick. I think that the company's being built around Bianca Belair without question. That women's division's being built around her. And I think that a Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair match would be huge for WrestleMania next year. You know, because Bianca has wins at WrestleMania over all the horsewomen except for Charlotte. And, well, she didn't beat Becky. I'm sorry, she did beat Becky. She didn't beat Bayley, excuse me. She didn't beat Bayley at WrestleMania, but she did beat her. So I believe that Asuka will win, but Bianca will get the title back at some point later in the year to build to the Charlotte match next year at WrestleMania. I'm surprised they didn't unify the titles on this show. Speaking of which, the match that is rumored to close WrestleMania Night 1, and that is for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. This one's an easy choice for me. Rhea Ripley's going to win this match. Rhea Ripley is right now in the middle of the biggest push of her career. She's never been a better TV character. She's always been a good worker since the NXT days. She's always worked hard. She's always given her all in the matches. She did wrestle Charlotte at WrestleMania 36, the one from Orlando in the Performance Center, the one that I can't even watch anymore because that empty arena mania brings back a lot of bad memories, yo. Not just with the pandemic, but also in my personal life. Like, that mania is tough to watch for me. I don't like any of those pandemic shows, man. Like, even, I know some of y'all agree, like, it's hard to watch wrestling or sports like that. It's just not the same. You got to have people there. So Rhea Ripley's going to go over here. It'll be a competitive match. I think Charlotte putting Rhea Ripley over is the right move. I think what's going to happen, because there's rumors of a draft happening after Mania, I believe that Rhea Ripley and Judgment Day are going to be moving over to SmackDown. I think that the Bloodline could go to Raw and Judgment Day go to SmackDown in the draft. And I think it makes sense because the Dominic Rey Mysterio feud is going to probably continue. And I could see the Rhea Ripley Charlotte feud having rematches too down the road. But I think Rhea Ripley wins here and finally gets her big win over Charlotte at WrestleMania. The story's all about her redemption anyways. And I do think that Rhea Ripley's going to win somewhat clean. Not totally clean because they got to do rematches, but somewhat clean because they're really putting the rocket to her. Now, I want to talk about the matches that have not been announced for different nights yet, and then we'll get to Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, the main event of night 2, and the main event of the whole weekend. So, we've also got, speaking of Judgment Day, the Judgment Day explode in the Hell in a Cell between Edge and the Demon Finn Balor. Now, this one's tricky because he's going to be the Demon. The Demon almost never loses, right? However, he's a heel. Edge is a guy who needs to get a win here. He needs to get he is the babyface. He needs to vanquish these guys, but I don't know if he will because he's also a guy who, while not really a part-timer, he is a legend. He's already in the Hall of Fame, and he's already said that he only has a couple years left in this run. I mean, he came back, in 2020. I'm happy he's back, very much so, and I love Edge. Edge is actually my favorite WWE wrestler of the 2000s. Go back and watch him in 05, 06, 07, 08, 09. He was just something else. He was on a different level, right? Some of y'all remember how awesome he was. The Cena feud, the Undertaker feud, just great, legend, easily. I think Finn Balor's going to win, though. I think it's going to elevate the Judgment Day to once again becoming a more serious stable. I could see them actually doing a clean sweep of the weekend. We're going to talk about the Rey match in a minute. But Edge could win because it is Hell in a Cell, and he is the babyface. I just feel like on this night, I think Finn Balor is going to go over, but I'm not 100% confident on that, y'all. I'm not super confident. Then we have a couple of Fatal 4-Way matches that are called WrestleMania Showcases. To be honest, y'all, and I'm not out of line when I say this, these matches are thrown together. It feels that way. It really does feel like they're thrown together. It really does. Like they're just trying to get more people on the show, including the tag teams. Now, again, I'm glad that tag teams are getting the spotlight here, but it does feel thrown together. Let's start with the men's matches. So we got Braun Strowman and Ricochet, the Street Profits, which is Dawkins and Montez Ford, of course, Alpha Academy of Gable and Otis, and the Viking Raiders. So all 4 of these teams would benefit from wins. However, I'm going to analyze it this way. Braun Strowman and Ricochet don't need the win for them to continue being a tag team on SmackDown. The Street Profits also don't need the win because the plan is to eventually split them up and push Montez forward. So I think that they're probably not going to win this. And plus, they've already challenged for the tag titles many times and even held them. Not to say that that's bad, but just the gimmick may be running its course. You understand what I'm saying? I don't see the Street Profits being a team for much longer. Alpha Academy, all comedy. I mean, they were involved in that Gable-Stevenson segment last year. Like, these guys are... And it's too bad because Chad Gable's a hell of a freaking worker. I love Chad Gable. All his matches are just phenomenal. I don't think they're going to win this. And then we have the Viking Raiders, Eric and Valhalla. Oh, no, Eric and Ivar. Excuse me, Valhalla's with them. What the hell was I thinking? I like Valhalla. Anyways, who's going to win? Ultimately, I don't think it matters. I really don't. But I feel like the Viking Raiders are probably going to win because it will put them once again in title contention. And the Viking Raiders, challenging for the tag team titles is fresh. And it's also going to, I think, kind of put them back in a position to be a top heel act later on this year. So that's my pick. Now, I could be wrong, honestly. It's a toss-up with that one. And ultimately, it doesn't matter that much. But I think whoever wins is going to be right in line for a tag title shot. Now, the women's one. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. This one's easy for me, yo. Rousey and Shayna Baszler are going to win this match. I had heard before that this is supposed to be Rousey's last night in the company, that her contract ends at Mania 39. However, I'm not so sure about that anymore, y'all, because the plan was originally for her to lose to Becky Lynch in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. That was the plan last year when Vince was in charge. Clearly, that's changed. So, I think Ronda and Shayna are going to win. I think this will lead to them winning the women's tag team titles and being a menace on Raw or SmackDown or wherever they're at. You know, just being a complete menace as a team together as the two former UFC fighters to eventually split and hopefully Rousey will put over Shayna. They'll split. They'll feud, maybe at SummerSlam in Ford Field or WrestleMania 40 next year, and Ronda can put over Shayna and then ride off into the sunset. I am not a Ronda Rousey fan. However, as a heel, I think she fits the best, and I think they're going to win. None of the other teams in this match have any kind of momentum going for them. They don't have any real credibility, and it feels like it'll be a showcase of Ronda and Shayna. They're going to win later on, leading to a tag title match and probably being the top heel tag team of the year. I know that I said earlier that Damage Control could do it, and we could even see a feud with Damage Control and Ronda and Shayna. We could see that later on in the year. Maybe even leading to some kind of War Games thing where, you know, Ronda and Shayna find two partners. I mean, we still haven't seen that horsewomen. Remember how they were going to do the UFC horsewomen against the WWE horsewomen years ago? But unfortunately, one of them is in AEW, and I don't even know where the other one's at, so we're not going to get that. It's unfortunate, but we'll at least get something similar probably later on in the year. So, Rey Mysterio versus Dominic. I think Dominic's going to win. Look, I have not been the biggest fan of Dominic Mysterio. He's kind of a goof. However, ever since he did that thing where he went to prison and now he's all hardened, I like it. I like the fact that I love the angle that on SmackDown where Rey finally stood up to him and he wants to give him a spanking. I could see Rey winning this and having the feud continue and having Dominic win the rematches. I could see that, but the right thing to do is to put over Dominic because you have to remember, Rey versus Dominic has been the plan for years. Back when they were teaming up during the pandemic in 2020, I know for a fact they were going to do Rey versus Dominic. That was reported everywhere that they're planning on doing it. And the original idea was to actually include Chavo Guerrero and Vicky Guerrero. They were going to have them in, but they're in AEW, so they can't put them in the feud, even though in the storyline, which would have been great. So I think here Dominic's going to win, or Rey wins and they do rematches. Either way, we're going to get rematches. I don't think the feud's going to end here, but I think Dominic's going to win because Rey's been wanting to put his own son over for a while. I mean, that is his blood, literally his son. So I could see that being the case. Then we have Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. This is going to be your hard-hitting smash mouth match of the night. I could see it opening WrestleMania night 2 or being, you know, second to last or maybe third to last. Gunther's got to win this. You know, this is the guy they're banking on. I could see them doing a thing where Sheamus pins Drew or Drew pins Sheamus and they get the title off of Gunther without him getting pinned. But that does seem cheap, to be honest. However, and I'm predicting this here, and I said it before. I've said it in other videos, and I've said it on Twitter, and I've said it to my friends. Gunther's going to win Money in the Bank this year. I see Gunther winning Money in the Bank this summer in the UK, where he'll be a babyface. And I see Gunther eventually cashing in on Cody Rhodes and maybe being champion. I'm not saying it's going to be right away or this year, but the Cody Rhodes Gunther feud at the Royal Rumble was kind of teased with them being the last two entrants. So Gunther definitely has a score to settle with Cody. I think that's the logical direction, and I think Gunther's going to retain here. But if they want to get the title off of him and have it be a situation where he does not get pinned, this is the match to do it. Either way, I still think he's going to win. Then we have our co-main event. The Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The longest built story of this match? Well, you could make the argument that Rand Dominic started back in 2005 when Dominic was a TV character as a little kid. You could make that argument, but really, when it comes to like the actual long-term build-up where there was actually a story that was, there. I mean, again, Ray and Dominic's probably longer. Actually, Edge and Finn Balor, that started like late, like what, spring of last year, right? It was like early summer. So there's a lot of matches on this show that are long-term storylines, and that's good because we love that. We love long-term booking and long-term build-up. But either way, my point is, this has been the hottest angle in the company for quite some time. Sami Zayn being in the bloodline, getting kicked out, challenging Roman Reigns. Well, not getting kicked out. He's the one who turned on Roman. Challenging Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber show in front of that crazy crowd. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will dethrone the Usos on this show. It'll be a hell of a match. I have been watching Kevin Steen and El Generico since the Indies. I have seen them wrestle live multiple times, Kevin Steen, El Generico. And this is going to be their biggest night ever as a team in WWE. Without question, the biggest time for them as wrestlers is right now. This is like the biggest time for them. Like they're in a major main event story in LA, which is where PWG is. And PWG is where they didn't start there, but they definitely got their first big push there at Pro Wrestling Guerrilla back in the early to mid 2000s. So there's a lot of story here. I think Sami Zayn pinning Jay makes the most sense. I think it will lead to an eventual, I'm not saying it's going to happen right away, but an eventual breakup of the bloodline, even if it's not permanent. I think that the bloodline dropping the titles is, pretty much, what has to happen next. So I think that Owens and Zayn will win. I could see a situation where Roman Reigns is very upset about this and takes it out on the Usos, and that kind of builds that breakup for down the road. So I'm looking forward to this one. And then we have our main event. Roman Reigns, the undisputed Universal WWE Champion, both titles, versus Cody Rhodes, the winner of the Royal Rumble. So I'm just going to say this. There's been a lot of fans out there who think they're cute by saying that, Roman should retain the title and surprise everybody. No, you don't know what you're talking about. People are overthinking this, and it needs to not be overthought. This is a very simple story. Cody Rhodes said last year, the night after WrestleMania, his goal was to be the champion so he can win it for his father. There is no question that Cody Rhodes must win this match, and I think he will win and become the Universal Champion. I think it'll be a great match. I think it'll be phenomenal. The atmosphere and the energy in this match is going to be off the hook. I think the time has come. After, 3-4 years? Almost 4 years, that Roman Reigns gets pinned 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania. I think the time is now. I think if WWE has any other finish, it is absolutely detrimental and will possibly hurt business because Cody and Sami are selling a lot of tickets and merchandise right now. These guys are red hot. You cannot have Cody Rhodes lose. Cody Rhodes is undefeated in WWE. Roman Reigns is undefeated for the past, 4 years, since 2019, something like that. So, just a phenomenal freaking story. Great match. Very emotional. Here's how I think the finish will play out. This is my sort of in the brain what I think is going to happen. They're going to go back and forth. Cody's going to hit 2 crossroads and get a 2 count. He'll hit a third one, and then Roman still kicks out. Then, ref bump. The Usos and Solo tried to go in there. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens make the save to help Cody. Roman hits the spear. Then he hits another spear. Cody still kicks out. He goes for the spear again. Cody leapfrogs him, gets behind him, grabs him in the crossroads, looks up at the heavens where his father is. Picture this. I want you to picture this. He's holding him with, Roman's head is under his armpit. He looks up at the heavens to talk to his father. This is it tonight, Dad. Crossroads, 1, 2, 3. History is made. That's the right finish. That's the way to do it. That's the correct way to end WrestleMania. It'll be something we'll never forget. It'll be an absolutely huge moment. I, for one, cannot wait. I can't wait to see that. And it's going to be great. I mean, what more can I say? It's going to be great. I think that's the right direction for them to go in. And I think that we'll see where they go after WrestleMania. I can see the feud continuing, although there's been talk of him taking a break after Mania. There's going to be a new WWE Championship belt. They're going to be debuting. There's a new belt, a new actual belt the night after WrestleMania. I think it'll happen. You heard it here. And having Cody not win is one of the most catastrophic decisions the company could ever make, and it's a bad idea. You don't want to Lex Luger him. So Cody wins. The feud they'll have rematches, maybe even in Detroit at Ford Field at SummerSlam, but to me, that's the right way to go. So that's my prediction. I could see some surprises on the show, like maybe The Rock will show up and talk. I mean, I know he wasn't going to be on the show originally to wrestle. He was supposed to wrestle Roman, but I could see him being on the show to cut a promo, some other celebrities. It's LA, so they're going to have to whip out all the celebrities, and that'll be cool to see. Hopefully we'll see a lot of that. But I look forward to a good show. Cody said that he's going to have more pyro than ever in the history of Mania. And that's something. We'll see, especially when he wins. Anyways, y'all, what do you think? Leave your predictions down below. Let me know, and I'll see y'all very soon. And I will be reviewing these shows this weekend. So look forward to that.